at no interest. Kindly notes that terms and conditions apply. First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different.
Based on the bids and offer.
To our NSMQ updates for today. Good morning, Enimwa.
Hi, good morning, Daniel. So exciting weekend it's been. We've seen St. Peter's go through, TI Amas, Bando SHS, Wesley Girls High School. We also saw Achimota School beat St. Thomas Aquinas. Good morning, Evans. And also Prempeh College win their contest as well. Now today we have Keta SHS going against Edinaman, going against Bekwai SDA, and then we have Sandema, which is Malik School versus Osei Tutu versus Oti Boating. Then we also have St. Louis going against Chemu, also going against Osino Presby SHS. So that's some exciting contests to look forward to today.
We also had the Wee Girls losing over the weekend.
Yes, we did.
Bando's Senior High School,
yes.
Quite a lackluster performance from there. The same day that the Black Stars drew as well. So
I don't think you should talk until your school has contested tomorrow.
Oh, you mean when we have Augusco for lunch tomorrow?
Evans was talking.
I'm just saying.
Evans Mensah was talking.
And it's instructive to note what happened to him.
Let him keep talking.
Okay.
Daniel does it.
Okay, it's time for us to do the front pages of the newspapers.
The Daily Guide is reporting this morning, Daniel, Nigerian banker stands NDC, NLA, VAG deal brings 20,000 jobs and Wyoming in a ditch. Game over in 51 million fraud saga. We are not xenophobic. This is our president representing us boldly and strongly on other platforms elsewhere.
The New Crusading Guide newspaper is continuing with its Torture Home Part 2, when sodomy, sexual exploitation, other inhuman treatment take over Reverend Lamina's orphanage. We supervise orphanages, we go disguised. That's the gender minister reacting to the New Crusading Guide's story.
Now the Herald is reporting this morning, Exim Bank Ghana denies Auditor General's claims and opulence and impunity takeover as Akufo-Addo and his appointees enjoy. That's also on the front page there. And NLA to clear their irregularities in VAG Lotto.
Today newspaper has fear grips NDC over Wyoming's money. NLA rolls out VAG Lotto, the story you just reviewed. DCE was deep in. Those are the stories on the front page of the Today newspaper.
The Finder is reporting this morning, Mr. Arthur family kickstarts $1 million fund to retain lecturers, and there's one on Primpark cautioning national security over arrest of journalists.
The Ghanaian Observer has NDC plot backfires, ex-Nigerian Central Bank governor hired to run down Ghana's economy, and the MPP rather sings Akufo-Addo praises at a Mr. Arthur anniversary lecture. We are not a xenophobic state, that's president saying. UAW Bruhaha, a Yoko probe indicts Afol Bruni.
Now, the story on Yoko probe indicting Afol Bruni is on the front page of the Chronicle 2. The other stories like Trust the Black Stars to feature in Last 16. That's on the front page of the paper too. We want Tardy girls back. This is the Ghana Bar Association saying that yesterday, and police shoot to kill us. Benassi residents claim, but they admitted that they are, arresting and imprisoning police officer too. That's on the front page of the Chronicle.
The Daily Statesman has the Ghana on course. That's ex-governor of Nigeria saying, apologize for devil breaking the silence around rape culture. Prosecute Wyoming's accomplices, says CPP. Nkrumahs argue that officials who pushed government through must answer for actions.
Yeah, Kweku Baku joins that particular argument, but there's more than that on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. No job losses at Ghana's ports, the president assuring. There's also the Ghana Tourism Authority closing down 31 unlicensed hospitality facilities in the eastern region, and the Pamwan Tapa has killed the wife and the son at the same time in the same conditions, and this is something I'll be giving details of later on.
The Daily Graphic newspaper has avoid strife. That's let continent assert rightful place. That's president urging African leaders. Dr. Ato Duncan, 6 others added. US won't escalate visa restrictions on Ghanaians. That's the US ambassador saying. Ghana Bar Association calls for consensus on security situation. Back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Ash Gold win tier 2 special cap secure ticket for Confederation African Cup. Last story on the back page of the Daily Graphic: Madagascar stun Nigeria.
So where do we even start? Raymond, what was that you were saying about the palm wine tapper?
Yes, this gentleman is by name specifically Kwame Champon. Kwame Champon is a 46-year-old who lives in Gosso. The Gosso police is reporting that Kwame Champon 2 days ago, of course, there's a specific community that you should be interested in. It's called Kokofu. His wife and 1-year-old child also live in that particular area. What has happened is that Kwame Champon suspects that the wife is cheating on him. Is this a 30-year-old woman? He's been trying to talk family members into helping her, but it's not been working. He woke up one morning and had a conversation with the wife on it. The conversation degenerated. The man then decided to pick up some knife, stab the wife several times. Then the woman died as a result of that. After that, he actually slashed the throat of his own son with the same knife too. And it's unclear what the son had done in this particular case, but he then proceeded to lock them up in the room, left, and the bodies were found days after the man had run away from the community. Later on, he was trapped and arrested and is now undergoing some investigations with the police in Kokofu, and that's how terrible the incident is. So this was 6:20 a.m. There was a match incident. Residents close by heard exchanges between husband and wife. Kwame Champon is known to be very quiet. He's known to be very reserved. He goes to the farm, go and get his stuff, come and sell it to people. He has not, according to those who live around the place, shown any violent tendencies before, not openly to people out there.
Okay.
But this was the first incident they knew of him in any capacity like this. And of course, it brings to mind how people are able to deal with some of these problems, marital problems, one which may degenerate, and when people have mental problems resulting from marital problems, how they end up dealing with it. You do recall that the other time when we had this conversation about the leading causes of suicide for women, it's their men, because they cause many of their marital problems, and for the men is other causes, including
mainly
poverty,
financial.
yes, and financial problems too. So I don't know what combination brought this guy to this point, but we should have systems which support people who are in marriages and are suffering as a result of, which support people who are suffering different levels of mental conditions. And you just ask yourself whether we can do so when those who are already institutionalized have terrible conditions, they don't have funding for the various projects they ought to do. Remember our visit to the Accra Psychiatric Hospital.
Very, very, very true. And my heart goes out to them anytime I see the rains fall, especially in this season. But you know, it's conflict at every level must be avoided.
Yes, that's the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo urging other African countries to refrain from activities that lead to civil strife. The President's argument is that if the continent is to take its rightful place in global affairs, then the image of instability which has dogged the continent, he argues, the image of instability was all of that, he says, must be shredded. Otherwise, the continent of Africa cannot take its place in its rightful place, he argues, in the Committee of Nations. Now, the President was saying this at the he was addressing a Gender and Development Initiative for Africa Forum in Accra last Friday. And this forum was essentially to discuss the situation analysis of the status of African female refugees and displaced persons on the team moving from serving to thriving. You know that because of all of the conflicts that have bedeviled Africa, you have large numbers of populations which are displaced, and many of them are refugees. Our own country's history of hosting refugees is well known and well documented. Now, the President was saying that given that about 50% of the refugees and displaced persons tend to be women and children, and being the AU gender champion, we remember that he was appointed AU gender champion on July 3rd, 2017. He says that 50%, in fact 59% of the victims are actually women. And he says if the continent is to reduce these numbers, then the figures of wars and conflict must correspondingly reduce. The President said that even though Africa remained more peaceful, conflicts over the decades had a devastating effect on the continent, and this is why he's arguing we must reduce the figures, reduce the regularity at which elections degenerate into violence, and then women and children are the worst affected. Note when we interviewed Daniel, you interviewed John C. Maxwell, the motivational speaker.
Yes.
He was talking about the continent having sufficient resources to be able to develop its nations, and yet because of lack of training and skills, people are unable to exploit these resources. And that's one of the things that the president said at this forum, that the African leaders must provide opportunities for their people to secure education and enhance their skills in order that they can take advantage of the opportunities that exist.
Insightful words there from the president, but another sad story I'm seeing here about a storekeeper who poured acid on his neighbor.
Yes, she's a 32-year-old Vida Odame Boedi, and she's been remanded by the Achim Shojo Circuit Court for this particular act. What happened was that she had some altercation with the other lady who is 45-year-old Ama Jomo, and she threatened to deal with her. So what she did was that she laid ambush in the evening when Ama Jomo was returning to her home, the same place that the two of them lived. She decided to hide in the corner and throw the acid at her. Luckily, Ama Jomo was with two kids. None of them were affected by. Imagine how the impact of this were going to be on the kids this week. She sustained some degrees of injury and she was actually taken to the hospital. She's undergoing some treatment of a sort, but it brings you to question how easy is it for people across the country in various forms to access corrosive concentrated acid in various forms.
And it's a conversation we've had over.
Yes.
Over.
Remember after Adams Muhammad died, the NPP Upper East Regional Chairman, there was some resolve that let's be more serious about how some of these substances are let in the OP. People can easily access them.
They showed us how easily it is to acquire these things.
That's how
he just went
dangerous
on the
can
open
be.
market and bought them.
And these are hazardous chemicals. Ask yourself in the first place, what are they used for on the regular? That should make it so easy
For people to access them.
Exactly. Anyway, those are questions we must continue to answer, but the EC itself is under the spotlight.
Yes. The Council of State is asking the Electoral Commission to expunge the names of dormant political parties from the from the parties that have been licensed. There are so many of them, and the chairman of the Council of the chairman says that Nanotu Srebo, he's the one who was talking to the Electoral Commission when they paid the courtesy call on the national the council, and he said that in the past, when a political party obtained a license, it was a matter of celebration. But now nobody cares when a political party gets a license because the process has been cheapened to the extent that every Tom, Dick and Harry can virtually register with the Electoral Commission and get a license. Now, the Electoral Commission chairperson, Mrs. G. Mensah, when she was responding to the Council of State chairman's comments, said that, look, the political parties themselves misinterpret the law requiring them to have offices in 2/3 of districts across the country. Is that some of them actually believe that having an office under a tree satisfies the provision of the law. And you note, in 2016, this matter was topical in the course of the elections, whether the political parties that did not fulfill this aspect of the law, requiring them to have offices in 2/3 of the districts, should be allowed to contest the elections. And I remember Bernard Mona, who is national chairman of the PNC, arguing forcefully that, well, even if they didn't have offices in all the districts or 2/3 of the districts, they were a vibrant party. They had been running elections. They elected their national officer. They had the presidential candidate, and they had obtained a respectable figure in the previous elections. He did not understand why the Electoral Commission was bent on enforcing this law. In fact, Mrs.
But that's
G.
not
Mensah,
what the law says. So Mr. Mona says he doesn't understand why the Electoral Commission is bent on enforcing the law.
the Electoral
It's
Commission
bent
should-
on enforcing the law.
It should do more important things, he argued. Mrs. G. Mensah said that if the law were to be enforced strictly, all the political parties will have their licenses revoked. You know that the two major parties, even though they have offices in all the districts and all of that, very many of them do not respect the laws when it comes to filing their audited accounts with the Electoral Commission.
Exactly.
And every EC chairperson has grappled with particularly the two main parties, the NDC and the MPP.
And if I may, for me, Raymond, I remember we had this conversation once in a newsroom.
Yes.
This is the most critical part of our electoral law.
Yes.
That tell us how you make your money, how you raise your money.
So we know
where-
that people are influencing you and which kind of demands they can make on you in the future.
Because when you go to other jurisdictions, that is where the heart of it is.
Yes, and they have tried to fix it in so many ways.
And you see, even though that is not a solution on its own, because we acknowledge that, for instance, the current Minister of Education in America, that's Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, she's a huge Republican Party contributor. At least when we are aware going into the election, citizens also are empowered with the information.
Yeah.
And it moves it just 1 inch forward. So I'm even surprised that the Council of States would choose expunging names of dormant political parties as opposed to the filing of audited
Maybe
accounts.
they,
But then
because
again,
of the
of
almost
course,
25 or more than number, that's why they are struggling to do so. So if it's a few people, we can, but with a few of the political parties, we can monitor it keenly.
Of course, but of course, in their wisdom, let me not.
You can't even remember the names of some of the political parties.
Oh,
And
I
yet
remember
they are
LPG.
on the register.
I remember LPG.
You still remember
LPG.
Egle?
Yeah,
Every Ghanaian living everywhere.
At a point, it was ego. Every accountable Ghanaian living everywhere. Oh, Charlie.
Anyway,
it's
this is interesting.
Anyway, let's go back to Bekwai because I understand the people there are making some allegations.
Yes, the people of Benin, you know, we reported last week that some grouping in that area had actually arrested or illegally abducted a police officer, beating up this officer. A video went viral about that particular incident. And people say that the only reason why they did so because the police consistently terrorized them. They have complained to the leadership of the police in the area. They use their laws against them. They are beating up people unjustly. They are taking the law into their own hands and pretending to be enforcing laws and dealing with them in ways that they don't like.
And how did they come to the determination that the people are not enforcing the law?
Because, for example, the answer they give, they say that the police would arrest somebody on a matter that the police even knows is frivolous. But the only reason why they arrested them is to extort money from you. And if you fail to give them, they'll beat you up and not take you to the police station and leave you there. They are reacting to, of course, you know what happened, the uproar that we cannot do this against the law enforcement agencies in the country, especially when not long ago we spoke about the maltreatment and the gruesome murder of Captain Adams Mahama and the conduct that we all agreed that we are
Now
never going to
Major
repeat
Mahama.
in this particular case. So all of that was the reason why people got very angry. But people in the community said, even though they admit they did wrong and that their conduct was not in the right direction, I imagine the police have an attitude in that area alone to shoot to kill. That's what they're saying. So that the police actually wounded several of the people before this incident happened, and that they are also complaining to their chiefs and people in various high places. It looks like nobody was listening to their calls that they are being specially treated in a terrible way by law enforcement agents who are supposed to provide service in this area to them.
So was a PIPS report ever made? Is this a question of
No. They never. It's not mentioned in the story
Reported to
already.
PIPS.
Okay, they didn't. The people they say they reported to are chiefs, to the police high command in the district, not in the area specifically.
Okay.
So these are people that they reported the matters to.
Right then, thanks Raymond for bringing us that story. The online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goil Good Energy. Make your day productive by relying on quality fuel from Goil, your 3-time CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. Goil Super XP and Diesel XP are additivated to enhance strong engine performance and prolong the lifespan of your vehicle. Above all, you're guaranteed extra quality with our fuel analyzer from our mobile laboratory van. Get your money's worth every day by buying fuel and lubricants from any of Goil's over 360 service stations nationwide and experience good energy. Buy Goil. Go Ghana. Goil. Good energy. Goil. Yenara Yedia. Now, when it comes to traveling with ease and comfort, Zenith Bank's wide array of MasterCard and Visa cards will help you do just that. You can conveniently use your Zenith Bank MasterCard and Visa cards at over 33 million Visa and MasterCard branded ATMs worldwide. On the internet for online purchases and payments, in-shop for payments of goods and services at all Zenith Bank ATMs and on local and international POS or retail outlets that accept Visa and MasterCard. Sign up today, or if you already have one, use your Zenith Bank MasterCard and Visa cards for a great travel experience. Go light with Zenith Bank. It's faster and smarter. Zenith Bank in your best interest. Keta Municipal Basic Schools write exams on chalkboard. Keta, K2 South, and Loga. All of these are municipalities and districts that shall write their third term exams on chalkboards. I'm talking about the questions. This is on myjoyonline.com. Go and see for yourself the details of that story. Very harrowing details. Christian Ball Castle to become Museum of Leadership and Governance, according to the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture. Joy FM relationship. Pardon?
Is it not already museum?
That's what the museum's board told us just a few months ago. But apparently, the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mrs. Barbara Oting-Jesse, says it will soon be converted into a museum of leadership and governance.
Oh, another level of museum.
Yeah, it's the museum, but another museum for. So it shall not be used for
park activities,
for any other things, including get-togethers or whatever. Joy FM
relationship
military
drills.
Hey, please. Oh, Joy FM relationship debate, including military drills. Joy FM relationship debate. Education is not the key in choosing a husband. This quotes Mamiefa Sechi Edu. Last week's conversation was awesome, wasn't it? I really loved it. The BBC.com reports Sudan protests deadly unrest as masses oppose the military. Hong Kong, police and protesters clash over handover anniversary. Unrest. Maybe the BBC News will have more when we switch there. But now, let's take these messages.